Hi everyone, today's topic we are going to cover topic 7 bonds. So if you are an actual science student, we have already covered this topic under Advanced Financial Mathematics ASC 553 Chapter 1. So let's recap a little bit what is bond. Okay, so bond is basically one type of security in the financial market. It is interest-bearing security which promise to pay a stated amount of money at some future dates. So what does it mean by this one? It's basically the bond promised to pay interest over a specific term at a stated future dates and then pay lump sum at the end of the term. So this is basically similar qualities to an amortizations loan approach, or we can also say same as you put as your sinking fund method. Alright, so it is basically a formal certificate of indebtedness issued by the borrower, and it also can be issued by the corporations and governments as a way to raise money. Example, borrow the money from the investor. Okay, so the end of the term is called a maturity date. So some bonds can be repaid at a discretion of the bond issuer at any redemption date. So what we can say about this bond is it's basically like a loan. All right. So if you borrowed money from the bank as an individual, therefore, in this case, the corporations will borrow the money from the bank as well or from the investor. So when we talk about loan, you only borrowed a small amount of money. But when we talk about bonds, you borrowed a huge amount of money. So minimum amount of money that you can borrow by using bonds is basically 5 million. All right. Okay, then with that one. So let's look on the types of the bond. So there are a few types of bond I displayed here. So one of it is callable bond. It can be redeemed early at the discretion of the borrower issuer. So when we talk about callable bond and redeem early, meaning that the borrower can pay the loan to the issuer as early as possible. Simple as that. And as for the puttable bond, it's redeemed early at the discretion of the lender investor. So just now, callable bond is based on the point of view of the borrower, but as for the puttable, it's the point of view from the lender. And not only that, we also have serial bonds, whereby the borrowers in need of a large amount of money may choose to issue this bond that have staggered maturity date. Instead of them paying lump sum at the maturity dates, okay, only one maturity dates. So why not they staggered their lump sum into a small amount of money? So this is what we call as the serial bonds. And we also have junk bond. This is where the high risk of defaulting on payments and need to offer higher interest rate to encourage investor. So when we talk about junk bond, high risk of defaulting meaning that the high risk for the borrower not to pay back to the investor. Simple as that. Okay. Now, so price of a bond is a determination of a purchase price which will produce a given yield rate to an investor. So basically the price will be calculated, all right, determined by taking the present value of its futures payment. So what does it mean by that one? It's basically like this. Okay, so you have a timeline from 0 to N. Okay, so the end is basically your maturity dates over here. And you have a future payments at time 1, time 2, up until time N. So since bond is interest-bearing security, therefore you need to pay interest to your investor. This is what we call as your coupon payment. And at the end of the maturity, you need to pay back the lump sum. So this lump sum we define as your redemption value. So in order for you to price this bond, you need to discount it back one by one your interest. And do not forget, you need to discount it back as well your redemption with respect to your I over here. Okay, then you can find your price of the bond. Okay, so there are a few assumptions that you need to do when you want to price the bond. All obligations will be paid by the bond issuer on the specific dates of payments. Market price of bonds varies depending upon the probability of default in payments, and the bond has a fixed maturity date. The price of the bond is desired immediately after an coupon payment date. Right? Okay, so these are the variables that we are using in calculating the price of the bond. So the P represents as the price of the bond, F as the par value of face amount, the C is the redemptions, and the R is the coupon rate of a bond. And do not forget, you also have your FR. This is your amount of coupon payments, the interest that you need to pay to the investor. And the G is the modified coupon rate of a bond. This is where when it involves whether you want to redeem early or redeem later. And you have I is basically yield rate of a bond or yield to maturity. And the N is a number of coupon payments periods from the date of calculations to the maturity date or the redemption date. And do not forget, you also have your K, present value computed at yield rate of the redemption value at maturity date. And the G is basically the base amount of a bond. All right. So these are the basic formula that you're going to calculate your price of a bond. So as mentioned just now, is basically you have a timeline starting from 0 up until end, and at each period over here, you're going to pay your coupons payment. And these coupon payments, you're going to pay the lump sum at the end of the maturity date. And you need to discount it one by one back at time 0 in order to find your price. So this coupon payments is basically a level payment, regular level payment. It replicates exactly like your annuity immediate. So therefore, you can say your price of the bond is equivalent to your coupon payment annuity immediate with an angle of an interest of I over here. All right. And then do not forget you have your redemptions discounted back at time 0. So you have CVN. So this is the basic formula of the price of the bond. This one. Or in other way around, we can also call this bond, the price of the bond, the basic formula, as a franc formula. All right. Whereby this P is equivalent to your franc plus K. The K is the present value of your redemptions. Then after that, you have premium discount formula, which is your C plus FR minus CI, annuity immediate. And that's it. Okay. You can also look up for another 2 more methods, okay, where you can calculate for the price of the bond. Another method is we call as the base amount. And the next one, we can call it as your Macleham formula. And all of these are derived, and all of these are derived from the basic formula. Okay. All right. So we are done with the price of the bond. Now let's continue to the next one, which is your premium, discount bond, and your callable and puttable bond. So premium and discount, if your price is greater than your redemption, then we can say that the bond is sold at premium. Okay. Or in other way around, if you want to find premium, it's basically simple. You just take your price minus your redemption, and there you go. This is your premium for the bond. And if your price is less than your redemptions, we can say that the bond is sold at discount. So in order for you to know how much discount you have been given for the bond, all right, so you can just calculate C minus P over here. So do take note, this one is not equivalent to premium. This one is equivalent to discount, all right? Okay, now proceed to the next one. So another way around, that is the first requirement. Now we can have the second requirement. So if your modified coupon rate is greater than your interest rate and your price of the bond is greater than your redemption value, we can also say that this bond is purchased at premium. Okay. So in order for you to calculate the premium, you can use P minus C, or you can use this formula, CG minus CI annuity immediate. Therefore, you can find the premium of the bond. All right. Now the next one, if your modified coupon rate is less than I and your price of the bond is less than redemption value, then we can say that this bond is purchased at discount, the C minus P. Okay, the C minus P equivalent to, okay, this one is a little bit different, the formula. Change it into CI minus CG. Okay, CI minus CG annuity immediate here, over here. All right. Okay, do take note of this part. And then the next one, we are already done with the premium and discount. So the next one, a recap regarding on the callable and puttable bonds. So why we need to have this callable and puttable bond? So before we answer this, let's answer this question first. Why do you need to refinance the home mortgage? Okay, so why do you need to refinance the home mortgage? Because you want to get privilege on having a low interest rate. So that's why you refinance your home mortgage. Okay, so same goes to your bonds. Okay, if your interest is lower during that time and currently your price of the bond require a high interest by the economy, all right? But in real world, the interest is low. So you want to refinance your bond. So instead of paying with a higher interest, you are going to pay with a low interest here. Okay, so we can say that many bonds have an options that permits the borrower to call the bonds redeemed earlier compared to their normal maturity date. So if the interest declines after the bond is issued, therefore the issuer could call the bonds earlier so that they can pay off their redemption values and then issue a new bonds with paying a lower coupon. Simple as that. You just want to use the advantages of the interest decline. That's it. Okay. And these callable bonds, generally, we are going to call as earliest as possible. Okay, you're not going to redeem at the later date because it will be no point of use. Okay, it will be disadvantage for you if you call at the later date. So if you want to use the interest decline, therefore you need to call the bond as early as you can. All right. So another way around, this is summarize of it, recap. So a callable bond is a bond for which the issuer has an option to redeem earlier to the normal maturity date. And puttable bond is just basically a point of view from the investor or the lender. All right. So this is summarization on how you're going to use your callable bond. So based on the point of view of the borrower, okay, if you want to call the bond based on the point of view of borrower, okay, there are two ways you need to do. Okay, the first one, you need to determine which type of bond are you selling at. If your bond is selling at premium, therefore you need to call the bond as early as possible. But if your bond is sold at discount, therefore you need to call your bond as later as possible. Simple as that. All right. Okay. So yeah, that's it regarding on the price of the bond for topic 7.